one of our original aprons.
Wow.
I know, right? This is like my original apron. I used to wear this many years ago when I worked in Treeloft, our old logo. It's much shorter.
No, it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah. Harsh.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, when you used to be on the floor actually working. Now I just stand here and yell at cameras. But yes, actually, Brandy, that's very true. That's why it hurts so much.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Let's restart this one.
Yeah. Once more from the top. Good morning, everybody. No, we just thought we'd do something fun and change things up. I like to wear the apron. Primarily, it's because I do make mess when I do this. So that's why I wear the apron. On Fridays, Hawaiian shirts, because normally it's just talking and answering questions and having fun, saying hello to people. But yeah, we thought we'd go Throwback Thursday and rock this apron. So I just looked outside. It's snowing in Calgary. Nothing compared to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. We've got an audience. GAKidsTV was brought to you by a live studio audience. Yeah. We got 3 birds that are just chirping and fighting and having a bit argy-bargy, as they say. But sign of spring, okay? The birds are they're at it. It's snowing, but you know what? The moisture isn't going to hurt our gardens in the long run. All of our mature trees are perennials. Everything that's still out there, this moisture, much needed. We're not going to complain. It's early spring. If this happens in June, I'll be the first one to complain. In April, not wonderful, bit of a pain in the butt. But it's not like when it happens in December and you're like, ugh, 3 more months of this. It happens now. And we're like, sunshine is coming. So let's be optimistic. We have a webinar on Saturday. They're calling for sunshine on Saturday. Let's look for that. So continuing on, this week we've been talking about what is a plant and the various structures of the plant in the broad strokes. And we talked about leaves, we talked about roots, and now we're talking about a part that gets overlooked, is they are loud, is the stems and the trunk. And the reason they get overlooked is, like we mentioned, a lot of people may not know what a root system looks like or exactly what it does, but we know it's important, and we know that we have to make sure it gets support, water, fertilizer, whatever that might be. Leaves, a lot of times that's what attracts us to a plant. We come in and we look at the foliage and we go, oh, wow, look at this variegation. Look at the shape of it. Oh, it's a nice shady tree. I'm going to sit under it. And there's an aesthetic quality. And the stems, the trunks, they tend to get overlooked. But I mean, they are massively essential. It's one of those things that, although we don't see anything in it, without them, we're not getting all of the other things that we enjoy. So let's go right back to the beginning, as we do, and let's discuss where the stem comes from and how it originates. So again, we've got our seed. And again, it doesn't matter what seed that is. Every plant, in some way, shape, or form, is going to develop a stem or a trunk. Sure, there are exceptions to the rule. Something really fun, the cactus, and I love how close I get to it and then stop myself, and I'm like, you're one slip up away from saying ouch. We hope I say ouch. But the cactus, bring it in a little bit. You got it.
There you go.
This cactus, this entire green part that you see is the leaf. And it is grown around the stem. So last year we cut a cactus open, very impromptu, but a lot of people hadn't seen inside a cactus. I'm not going to cut this one open because, quite frankly, it's a beautiful specimen. But inside here, if we would cut it open, you'd see an outside fleshy ring, which would be our leaf, and you'd see a much harder inside core, probably, judging on the size of that one, probably about that big, size of a quarter maybe. and that would be the stem or the trunk. So every plant has one. It has some kind of, it might be tiny, like on a spider plant, might be massive, like on a giant sequoia. But what happens is we have our seed. Now we give our seed the essentials that it needs, which is moisture, and the other one is warmth. Okay, and that's from a heat mat. You can also do sun, ambient heat in the house, but I'm using the heat mat. And what it happens, if we remember what we discussed, is it puts out a radical. Okay, then the first set of leaves, and I think we were talking about leaves are so important. We may have missed this part, but the first leaves that come up are the cotyledons. Okay, and it's just a fancy way of saying the first leaves. That starts the photosynthesis cycle, and away we go. But we have this, and that is the very, very, very first stem. And the first stem is called the hypocotyl. The hypocotyl. And it's that very, very immature stem. It doesn't really have a lot of support. All it's got to do is hold two tiny leaves. It anchors to the existing part of the seed, as that's going to break down and the radical's going to feed. So that's what it does. Then, as it grows, that is going to develop stronger. So what ends up happening here is we get the sunlight or the artificial light. It doesn't matter. The light is hitting the leaf. The leaf fires up the chloroplast, starts the photosynthesis, pushes the sugars down to the radical. The radical splits, or it goes a bit deeper, the hairs develop, and it starts pulling up nutrients. Then it puts out the next set of leaves. As it's doing that, the way it can get more stuff going is it develops more veins and capillaries, more channels for water and sugars to travel. Well, then what happens is the stem widens accordingly. So if you look at a very, very small immature plant versus a much bigger plant, and I'm not talking seedling, I'm talking a small immature plant, you'll see that there is a very big difference on the size of the stem and the quality of the stem. The bigger and larger and taller and more mature a plant gets, the more woody and fibrous and harder that stem gets. So even tiny little baby trees at this stage, they don't have wood on the hypocotyl. It's a very succulent looking stem. So that's how the stem or the trunk originates. Now, what is the purpose of it? What does it do? Because again, very few people look, they may look at a tree and go, oh, that's an interesting bark. But in all my years doing it, that's not the reason people have bought the tree. They've bought it because of the flowers, or the leaves, or the size of it, or is it going to be a wind block? I have never had somebody go, I like that bark, I am buying that plant. So the primary purpose is, and these two go hand in hand, is the support. So it's the support here that holds the plant up, and it holds up the branches, and the next part that goes hand in hand, it adds as the connectivity from the roots up to this part. So the stem goes up and then the branches come off. They're part of the stem. And then the branches hold the leaves and the shoots and whatnot, but the stem can also hold flowers. So if you look at this geranium, you can see that there's a stem here holding the leaves, and then what comes off the stem, oh, I broke a leaf off. What comes off the stem is this flower coming up. So the stem is going to hold leaves, fruits, flowers. All of the new growth is going to come out of that, and that comes all the way up the plant. So the connectivity between our leaves going up here and the roots all happens through the cell. As the photosynthesis is firing and the sugars need to get down to the roots, that is going through the stem of the plant. Then what else it does, another very, very important thing, is it offers protection. And it offers protection against heat, against animals. So here we have a kangaroo. And the kangaroo, that's a kangaroo. Take my word for it.
He's seen them.
And the kangaroo wants to eat the tree. However, it can't because that tree has developed a hard bark. So it offers protection, it offers structure. So on a windy day, we may choose to not go outside. We run fast and we jump in our cars. We shelter ourselves from the wind. Our plants can't. Without a thick, properly developed stem, it's going to break. It's going to fall over. An animal is going to come along and scrunch it. And I think we've all seen that on our fibrous plants outside. Plant some hostas where there's deer. Let me know how that works out for you. And deer, kangaroos won't because they're good guys. But deer will even strip immature bark off to get to the softer wood beneath. So it does its best to protect, but it can't protect against everything. It's not a suit of armor, and animals have developed ways to survive by eating it. And then the other thing it does is inside. So we've got all of the veins running up, and that's all bringing the water up from the roots and then coming down, and that's bringing the sugars. What else certain stems can do is they can actually store food, water, nutrition. They can hold it in, and they can go, oh, these roots need a bit more help, and they can allocate it down there. Oh, some foliage up here, and they actually decide. So much like us, if you ever gone running and you get a stitch and you're like, oh, and that's because your body is like, oh, I need blood going to the extremities. I need it highly oxygenated. So it shuts down non-essential systems in your body. Your digestive system is not essential for running. So it's like, okay, I don't need to send as much blood or water or oxygen to you. And then you get a cramp because the food isn't digesting properly. That's what's happening here. It's going, oh no, this is under attack from the kangaroo. I better send extra things there. Oh no, these leaves are getting hit by the sun. I'm going to push water to them for the photosynthesis. Those guys are going nuts, aren't they? There's now 4 of them. We had 3 and now there's 4. They're enjoying the show. Hey guys. Yeah, so that's the difference. And then one thing I'll touch on quick, because people do ask this. Anybody who's seen a tree that's cut down or fallen down or whatever, I think we all know about counting the rings in a tree. So we have a tree stump like this, it's on the ground, and then we've got this inside, and we go, oh, how old is that tree? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 years old. Okay, what this tells us, the difference here is how the tree grew. Is it very wide? Is it very narrow? Is it wider on one side, narrower on the other? And that's all the environment. How much water did it get? Really hot. Did a part get damaged by an animal and it had to repair that part? So this gives us a history, but you're not going to see that on the more succulent plants, your tomatoes, your peppers and whatnot. The ones that are filled with water, simply because they don't put wood around them. They don't have that hard aging as it grows out. All that happens with those is that they widen accordingly in order to get the moisture going. So a lot of times you take a plant like a geranium. Doesn't matter how long you've kept it alive for, you cut it down, you get 1 ring. You cut down a tree, you get multiple rings. And a lot of people ask about that. That's why I wanted to bring it up. And that's how you tell the age of a tree and the environmental concerns. And if you want, we're out of time today, we can touch a bit more on the thickness of the rings and what that means for how the tree grew and which conditions. So you can be like, oh, the 4th year was very dry. The 7th year was very wet. We'll talk about that another day. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for Hawaiian Church Friday. Hopefully my loud audience isn't there. They're making it hard to think. Stay warm. Have an amazing day. Enjoy your spring weather. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.